They kept her in a rusted cage at the edge of the auction yard, like a broken machine nobody wanted. She didn't move, didn't roar, didn't even lift her head. The sun hit her heavy body, and the dust covered her dull green scales. Her eyes, big and gold, just stared at the floor like she didn't care anymore. Buyers walked past her, laughing. She's a joke. Too fat to fly. Can't even breathe fire. She's a waste of meat. No one wanted her dot. She had no name. Just a tag. Lot 47 Bio Dragon, class heavy. The auctioneer, a greasy man in a bright coat, tried to get rid of her. Come on, folks. Perfect for spare parts. Or feeding your hounds. Half price today. Anyone? But the crowd just moved on. They came for war beasts. Fast dragons. Strong. Ones. Not one that waddled and barely breathed. And then someone stopped. His name was J1, a freelance mechanic with black oil stains on his jacket and a tired look in his eyes. He came to the auction looking for scrap old drone legs, broken. Hover engines, maybe a cheap toolkit. He didn't expect to stop at the cage, but he did. Something about the dragon made him pause. She didn't look at him, didn't beg. She just sat there like she had already accepted that no one would ever want her. That quiet pain, that waiting sadness, it felt too familiar. He stood there a long time before asking, how much for her? The auctioneer blinked. For that one? Yes. 500 credits, he said. No one wants her. If you take her now, I'll drop it to 300. She's eating into my profits. Big thing, useless though. Can't fly. No flame. Total dud. Ji-Wan didn't say anything. He just stared through the cage. Her yellow eyes met his for the first time. Quiet, deep, and still. Alive. I'll take her. He had no trailer. No transport cage. So he used his old hauler, tied cables around the dragon's front limbs, and dragged her behind using reinforced grip locks. She didn't fight. She just followed like a tired shadow. The auction yard laughed. Hope you got strong floors. She'll eat your whole fuel supply. Better off turning her into stew. But J1 didn't answer. He just drove. He took her back to his scrapyard near the edge of the moonfield. It wasn't much. Just rusted towers of spare parts, broken ships, and old machine frames baking under the twin suns. He parked her under a tarp, near the solar vents where it stayed warm. Gave her real food, not the dusty feed box from the auction. Clean water. A little mineral mix for energy. She ate slowly, watching him. She didn't speak. Just chewed, rested, and watched Dot on the third day. When he came out to check on the coolant valves, she spoke. Why? He looked up. Why what? Why did you take me? He wiped his hands on a towel. Because you looked like someone who'd been thrown away before they even got a chance. The dragon blinked slowly. I am not useful. I am unfit. Says. Who? Everyone. He shrugged. Well, I'm not everyone. She said nothing for a while, then whispered, I was called Mira 7 in the lab. Failed model. Too many numbers, Ji-Wan muttered. You need a name. He thought for a moment and then smiled. I'll call you Daon. It means all that is good. I like that. She didn't answer, but something in her eyes shifted. Just a little. The next few days were slow. Daon slept most of the time. She barely moved. Her legs had stiffened from lying down too long. Her wings were locked tight like folded blankets of bone and skin. J1 built a warming massage, glove from scrap, and worked on her joints every evening. Slow movements, careful pressure. He fixed broken welds during the day, and at night he sat near Daon reading out loud old war logs. Repair guides, sometimes strange Earth stories about dragons that lived in caves and saved princesses. Sometimes. She laughed, a little, like a stone sliding down a hill. Then, 2 weeks later, he came back from a salvage run and saw something strange. Dayon was standing not tall, not straight, but standing on all 4 legs, wobbling slightly, breathing hard. He dropped the toolbox. "You're up," she huffed. Fell twice, trying. "You flattened your water tank." She looked behind her. "Oops," he laughed. "I was going to replace that anyway." From then on, they trained. Not like soldiers, just like survivors. They walked laps around the scrapyard. Dayon's steps were slow, but she tried. Ji-Won tied ropes to heavy junk, and she dragged them with her tail. He built a pulley system so she could stretch her wings without hurting herself. Every day she moved a little better. Every night she talked a little more. "I was born in a batch of 6, she said once. All the others flew before their first year. I didn't. They said I ate too much. My muscles were soft, but I would never burn." He looked up from his soldering. "Did they even help you try?" "No, just watched, judged, wrote me off. They're idiots," he said. "You're the strongest dragon I've ever met." "You've only met one." "Exactly." Dayon smiled. Weeks passed. Her body stayed round, but her strength grew. She lifted a fallen beam once with her back, burned through old armor plates using her small but sharp flame. Ji-Won taught her how to focus her fire like a welding torch. He gave her a visor, painted with flames on the side. She laughed when she saw it. He repaired freighters. She melted joints. He lifted engines. She moved scrap with her tail. They were a team. A strange one, but a team. One morning, as they shared boiled fuel eggs and protein stew, Dayon said, "They'll come for you one day." "Who?" "The ones who want. Your yard, it's clean, useful, and you are alone." Ji-Won nodded. "Maybe, but I'm not really alone, am I?" She looked at him. "No, you're not." He smiled. "And when they come, they better be ready." Dayon curled her tail around a pile of old rocket shells and breathed gently. A small flame danced between her teeth. Let them come. And in that quiet scrapyard, under the light of 2 suns, an old mechanic and a once-forgotten dragon found something the rest of the world had thrown away purpose. The scrapyard was quiet in the morning. Twin suns rose slowly, shining light across the stacked metal towers and broken freighters. Ji-Won worked near the edge, fixing the fuel pump on a damaged shuttle. Dayon, the once shamed dragon, was lying. Nearby, her thick tail gently sweeping sand off the tools. She had grown stronger, her steps firmer, her flame brighter. But she still didn't fly. "I like the ground," she said once, smiling. "Feels honest," Ji-Won chuckled. "Well, the sky doesn't deserve you yet." Things had gotten better. Word spread in nearby sectors about the dragon who welds. A few mechanics from other moons came by to watch Dayon melt through metal with her small but steady flame. Some still whispered, "She's too big. Not what dragons should look like. She doesn't even fly." Dayon only smiled and said nothing. But Ji-Won saw the fire in her eyes. Not anger. Not pain. Something deeper power waiting. One afternoon, a silver transport ship appeared in the sky. It wasn't on the map. Ji-Won squinted up and muttered, "Visitors?" Dayon stood. Her shoulders were stiff. No, raiders. The ship landed fast, throwing dust into the air. It was a smooth military design with red stripes mercenaries. The side hatch opened, and 5 armed people stepped out, wearing black armor with glowing helmets. At the front was a tall man with a scar across his chin. "I'm Captain Sang-ho," he said. "We're here for the yard." Ji-Won frowned. "This land is registered to me. I have Moonfield rights. Not anymore, Sang-Ho said, holding up a scroll chip. This says it belongs to Axis Corp. We bought your debt. Now move out or we burn it down. Dayon growled low behind him. Jae-Hwan stood tall. You think you can just take what you want? We don't think, said one. Of the soldiers, we act. They raised their plasma rifles. One shot fired, burning a hole in the sand beside Jae-Hwan's boot. Next one's in your leg, junk man. Dayon stepped forward, her huge body shaking the ground slightly. She didn't roar. She didn't open her wings. She just stood between. Ji-Hwan and the soldiers. Captain Sang-Ho laughed. That's your guard? A walking meatball? Another soldier shouted. Is that a dragon or a broken food truck? Dayon didn't blink. Her tail curled and her claws dug into the earth. Jae-Hwan whispered, You don't have to fight. But Dayon lowered her head. They think I am weak. Let me show them. She stepped toward the mercenaries, slow and heavy. Last warning, Sang-Ho said. Dawn breath deep. A red-orange flame lit up her throat. It wasn't a wild burst. It was a focused, steady beam, like a cutting torch, but wide enough to send heat rushing into the air. One soldier stepped back. She's heating up. Fall back, another yelled. Too late. Dayon slammed her front legs into the ground, sending up a quake. Scrap towers shook. A hover cart tipped over. Then she let the fire out, not wild, not out of control, but fierce and direct. She didn't aim at the soldiers. She aimed at their ship. The side of the transport melted. The landing struts collapsed. The ship hissed and groaned as smoke poured out of its vents. Captain Sang-Ho screamed, Stop her! They fired at Dayon. Plasma bolts hit her side and shoulder. But her thick scales took the burn. She growled low and charged. The ground trembled with every step. She slammed into the first soldier, knocking him back 20 feet. Another tried to shoot, but she twisted and hit him with her tail. He flew into a pile of scrap and didn't get up. They called her slow, but they didn't expect her to move with purpose. She didn't burn them. She didn't need to. Her size and strength were enough. One soldier fired directly at her head. Dayon turned and let out a short, hot blast. The gun melted in the shooter's hand. He screamed and ran. Now, only Captain Sang-Ho was left. He pulled out a high-volt blade and ran. At her, for Axis Corp. He yelled. Dayon faced him without fear. He slashed her leg. She didn't flinch. He slashed again. Nothing. Then she spoke. You call me useless, weak, fat, but I protect, I build, I stand. What do you do? He tried to stab her again. Dayon opened. Her wings not to fly, but to knock him backward with a gust of hot wind. He flew into a broken engine frame and didn't get up. Jae-Hwan rushed to her side. Her leg was bleeding. Not much, but enough to worry. You okay? He asked. Dayon looked down at him, eyes calm. Better than I've ever been. The yard was quiet again. The sun high. The silver ship a melted ruin. From that day forward, no one tried to take Jae-Hwan's yard. Raiders told stories about the Fat Flame, the dragon who destroyed a merc team without lifting off the ground. Kids from nearby mining camps sent Dayon letters. One said, You are big and brave. I want to be strong like you. Dayon read every letter. She kept them in an old locker by the solar vents. Jae-Hwan made her a badge from melted steel. Dayon, defender of flame. He gave it to her one evening under the stars. She looked at it for a long time. I never thought I would have a name, she said, let alone a title. You earned both, Jae-Hwan said. Dayon smiled. Her scars were visible now. She didn't hide them. She didn't try to look like other dragons. She still couldn't fly. She still wasn't fast. But when she walked, the ground listened. Mechanics asked her for help with large-scale welding. She trained with kids who were bullied. She even helped build a playground using her fire and strength. Some still whispered, "She's not a real dragon. She's still too heavy." Daon would just laugh. "I don't need to fly. I just need to stand where I am." Ji Wan once told a visitor, she wasn't broken. She was unfinished. All she needed was time and someone to believe. Now, when traders pass by the scrapyard, they see more than rust and junk. They see the shining metal statue of a dragon with wings outstretched, made by Daon herself. On the base, it reads, "Built from failure, forged in fire, standing strong." And sometimes, just sometimes, if you look past the sun heat and into the wide scrapyard, you'll see her sitting tall on the main cargo lift, sun glowing on her. Back, tail curled around her badge. On the heavy flame. No longer forgotten. No longer useless. A dragon not made to fly, but made to stand. A dragon who was once thrown away, now a force no one dares to challenge. And beside her, always, is J1, the mechanic who saw what others didn't, the man who fixed engines and hearts.